law of attraction, lightworkers, truthers, meditator, yoga, guru, indigo, pagan, all of these terms are terms that I deal with on a daily level per se. In my work and in my research, and in broadcasting and whatnot, I come across these terms and these, I guess we can call subgroups on a normal basis. And I have come to understand the philosophy of all of the terminology that I just presented to you very well. It is going to be 20 years since I had my quote-unquote awakening, when I was, for lack of a better term, when I had my shamanic experience. God, I hope this chair isn't too uncomfortable. Where I had my out-of-body experience, and I was lucky enough to connect with the source, for lack of a better term, and was introduced to my transdimensional, whether you want to call them guardian angels or guides, or I have come to accept them as the Arcturians over the last several years because of the alignment and the visual that they presented with me. However, the point I'm trying to make is that it has been 20 years since I've had my awakening. And when I was young, which I was very young when I had this particular awakening, I wasn't prepared for the information that was given to me. I wasn't emotionally mature enough. My body certainly went through what a lot of us in the magical realms would call a shock or a whiplash, all that energy and light moving through me at once in a body that wasn't prepared. For those of you that study Reiki, we do first, second degree Reiki to prepare the Kundalini or the energy body for this much energy. So what does this have to do with our topic today, which is processing the light? To me, for me, we use this term love and light quite a bit. I'm trying to get away from it because it's lost its meaning these days. However, if we were to define them appropriately and metaphysically as it was intended, love is quite basically for me, the source of all things, the energy, the creative force, the healing force, the empowering force. It's chi, it's energy, it's the everything that keeps, it's the divinity within all things that keep everything alive and whatnot. And light is wisdom, it is education, it's understanding, and I think most importantly, it's information. When we are speaking about love and light, we're basically talking about information and love and energy, God, goddess, whatever you wish to speak about it, how you wish to say it. What I found was probably one of the most difficult things for me during my first awakening, because there are certain levels, and it's very strange because it's almost as if there's a cosmic initiation process happening, where we get so far in our personal path toward enlightenment or awakening, and then we become stagnant for whatever reason, and then we probably have another grand awakening or whatnot. Again, kind of a universal cosmic initiation process. But after my first cosmic initiation and or awakening, I wasn't ready for it. I really wasn't ready for it, and I was very much still based in my body, based in my ego. I was only 23, 24 years old, something like that. Yeah, I'm 24, so I'll be 44 this year. So as a 24-year-old, I still wanted to play. I still wanted to participate in this 3D realm, where in fact I knew I knew that this was all an illusion. I knew the differentiation between love and fear and ego-driven behavior and whatnot after that particular experience. But I went against what I was, for lack of a better term, instructed to do, or the information that I received from the higher beings, my higher self, whatever you want to call it. And it brought me a lot of heartache. It brought me a lot of depression, anxiety, addictions, all of these things that we seem to, it seems to be human behavior to shoot ourselves in the foot when we don't like something about ourselves. And for me, it was knowing what I knew and still wanting to be this, hip, cool kid, Anyway, so that was a part of that first aspect of the awakening process for me. And then the second process of the awakening for me was about 5 or 6 years ago when I realized that, and I can't say I realized, I should say I reaffirmed my visions that I was receiving ever since I was a kid as to the, how shall I say, the energetic hold that the quote-unquote dark lighters have on this planet. And when I started understanding how we were being manipulated through the media, through our governments, through our society, it was another awakening for me. And that's what kind of, I will say, pushed me finally out of my comfort zone of trying to be this, this idea of who Bernard was to me. Now, one of the most important aspects that I have come to learn about all of this over the last, maybe just the last year or two, is how to process this energy, this information. We're constantly being fed information. We are constantly being fed, I guess, for lack of a better term, we're being fed wisdom, having epiphanies, having understanding, moments of clarity. So while we're having these moments of clarity, we're still seeing what's happening out there. So the law of attraction was one of the first things that really brought me into the modern version of who I am today. It was I think that Esther Hicks is a wonderful teacher, the Abraham, energy, whatever you want to call it. It works. It does work. But I find that too many of us who subscribe to this particular philosophy have this idea or this notion that we must be in denial of the realities of life. What I mean by that is the denial that there is horrible wars going on, the denial that there's media manipulation, that there are basically really nasty people out there. And again, this whole idea of being selfish with our thoughts, being selfish with our emotion and whatnot. And while that may be good for some people at a certain point of their awakening process, and I am a firm believer that we must be very vigilant in the beginning. I forgot who said it. I know I heard it from Ram Dass 20 years ago. I'm not sure who actually wrote the story or the whatever it is I'm about to tell you. There's this saying that when the tree is small, you must put a fence around it to protect it, or else the sheep will come and eat it. But when the tree grows and its branches expand, then it can provide shade for many. So there is a great analogy of, yes, in the beginning, while we are strengthening our light body, while we are getting clarity and kind of deprogramming from our old outmoded self, our old outmoded behaviors, it is important to be very vigilant to what you expose your senses to. And exposing your senses is everything from the radio station you listen to, the television shows and or internet shows or media, period, that you expose your senses to, the music that you listen to, the friends and the family members that you interact with, all of these things that can not only influence but draw from your energy. And a lot of times we find that we're all struggling to get away from that old self. You know, I see it all the time with you. You guys are writing me all the time about this stuff. And I went through it myself. Everyone thinks you're going crazy. Meanwhile, you're starting to realize it's the world that has gone crazy and you kind of just want to get off. And not get off, but change it. Well, yeah, a lot of times we want to get off. When I was a kid, I tried to get off many times. That's another video. The fact is that yes, we need to be very vigilant. I think it's a part of the process for growing up, and what I mean growing up is growing up the light body, growing up the emotional maturity of our spirit, of our handling the information that we get. Absolutely. Now, there's a flip side to that. The flip side that I have been seeing, and I guess for as a truther, and I know I've spoken about this before, and I've probably spoken about the past few minutes before in the past as well. However, when we are angry, now anger is probably going to be a part of the process when you start realizing that we're being manipulated. Nobody, it doesn't matter whether you're a truther, it doesn't matter whether you're a new ager or a light worker, an indigo, or, you know, if you're I don't know, into the secret, whatever it is. Nobody likes to come to the conclusion that they have been manipulated and lied to their entire life. Nobody wants to accept that. And it's not easy. And, you know, I ran around screaming for the first couple years, like, oh my God, we've been lied to, da-da-da-da-da, going on and on and on. And, you know, I guess there's a place for that, and there's a time for that. But in the end, when we are focusing strictly on what's wrong with the world, now this is the flip side of what we're going to be talking about, when we are constantly focused on the, lack of a better term, fear porn, when we are constantly focusing on, oh, the solar flares, oh, 2012, oh, Fukushima radiation, oh, genetically modified foods, you know, and when it affects us, and this is where we're going to go into processing the light. See, we need to understand this is only information. It is not the all, the everything. So this is where that delicate dance between our understanding of the law of attraction, which is basically whatever you think about becomes real, and the fact that we are just looking at information. Now, if you think about how the law of attraction works, the law of attraction, and especially if you guys watch The Secret, the guy who's now going to prison, whatever his name was, I forgot, but was doing that scene, and I have to laugh a little bit because there's so many phonies out there. However, he was doing that scene where he was telling you to make believe you're driving in a car and visualize it and feel it, and you know, feeling it, and it was all about emotion and putting yourself there. Well, guess what? That does happen even when you're reading the news, looking at, I don't know, watching, you know, videos about the Illuminati and all of these things. Yeah, we want to be informed. And we do need to understand the power structure. And not only the power structure of the world, but the energy grid that has been imposed upon the planet. That is a fact. That does need to be researched and understood so you don't get manipulated. That's just a part of being a spiritually sovereign person. However, when you're feeling it and it's affecting you emotionally, and it has with me in the past, and I have really kind of backed off from that, but I have done my 5 years of research, and I feel I've got a grip on understanding what's going on, and That's good enough for me. I don't need to be reminded every single day that there are Illuminati symbols on the dollar bill or anything like that. I mean, yes, I know it's there. I know, and I'll be more than happy to share that information with those who are seeking it. But I'm not going to revel in it like, oh my God. It's kind of like, it reminds me almost, and quite honestly, it is just as bad as the rubberneckers. When there's a car accident. Oh my God, look what they did. I mean, you look at the news, you look at CNN or Fox or any of these mainstream fake corporate controlled media outlets, and it's always about, look what he did. He slept with another woman, or he slept with another man, or they're stealing money from that corporation, or they're murdering children in Cambodia. And look. Distraction. Just like that. What I would consider, and forgive me for anybody if I offend you by saying this, but what I would consider an uneducated person who has to sit there and watch the ambulance drag out 5 bodies, at a intersection traffic, accident. I mean, really, do you really need to sit there and stare? I mean, do we really not have the control or the self-control to just say, oh my goodness, this is horrible, send them some love, send them some prayers. And the same thing goes with the news that we're seeing. So that's one aspect. One aspect of processing the light is looking at things as information. It's information. If it's starting to suck you into fear, into anxiety, into anger, you're not processing it. One of the most important things that I feel that people don't understand is that this elite, whatever you want to call it, power structure, whether they be of this earth or not, no matter what your synopsis is of this power structure that we have, it is about energy. Everything on this planet is about energy, your energy. And what's happening is when you're getting angry, they're feeding off that. That's what we call energetic vampirism, and I talk about this constantly. Now, the other side of it is the ignoring it, the denying that it's happening. Many, and you see this constantly in the, for lack of a better term, law of attraction movement, which really has become a movement. And this law of attraction movement, they are just, I'm not going to say they, there are many, I find through my experience, through my interaction with them, through reading their topics and whatnot, and also receiving emails from people that are very involved in it, that we shouldn't be looking at, we shouldn't be studying the Illuminati, we shouldn't be studying, the elites, or we shouldn't be paying attention to the wars, we can't look, we have to focus on what we want, we have to focus and keep that vision alive. Well, guess what? You can keep that vision alive all you want, but you're never going to get what you want when you have an entire planetary structure working against you. Now don't get me wrong, there are many that have succeeded with this whole idea of law of attraction, but the ones who succeed with the law of attraction are succeeding in the corporate-based fascist mentality that it was intended to be used as. If you remember in the movie The Secret, she talks about at the very beginning how all the great world leaders know the secret. How all great world leaders and all rich people know the secret because they are focused only on their wealth, they're focused only on their prosperity, they're focused only on their happiness. And I call that selfish. I call that fascist. And I also call that contributing to the problems of today's world. We cannot we are not going to evolve. We are never going to evolve spiritually if we are using we are subscribing or ascribing to an outmoded paradigm. Do you really want to use the power of the law of attraction to feed into this system? Do you really want to use the law of attraction to grow your wealth in this fake economy, this illusory world of Walmart and Target and pharmaceuticals that kill you, and water that's poisoned, and food that's poisoned? Is this what the law of attraction is? This is how we're going to use the law of attraction? I think not. I think not. The best way to use the law of attraction, the best way to process the light, is to have courage. The first thing that you need to do, you, me, him, her, she, it, them, all of us need to do, is to have the courage and look at our lives. Look at our lives daily, our behavior daily. What is my behavior doing to create a better world? Am I eating poisoned food, drinking poisoned water? Am I selling broken or poisonous materials to consumers? Am I perpetuating this outmoded paradigm? Am I perpetuating the same old that the power elite, whatever you wish to call it, keeps trying to hold our humanity in? Has anyone not noticed yet that we've been stuck in the 1950s for 60 years? That they are still doing the same techniques over and over and over and over again. We are living the same lives. When I was a kid in the 70s, I would have thought by now we would have had free energy and we were going to be flying around in flying cars. But yet we're still using petroleum-based cars. We're still eating TV dinners in the microwave. I mean, let's get very courageous of how we're living our life. Are we living our own life? Are we creating our own life? Are we choosing how to live our life? Or are we being manipulated to live a certain way? And I know nobody wants to do this. I know it's hard to be courageous and say, wow, I'm just giving in. I've been doing this. I've been, perpetuating this corporate fascist dictatorship, for lack of a better term. And it's also an energetic and psychological dictatorship through my actions. And it's not to say that those who work hard don't deserve recognition. And don't get me wrong, if you start off making candles for a living, and you have this little cottage, industry or whatever, and then you start growing it and it turns into this big, I don't know, Yankee Candle type thing, good for you. I'm glad that you became successful, as long as you maintain your integrity. And I think that's what people are not realizing, is that we are interacting and perpetuating a specific lifestyle that lacks integrity. It is strictly of service to self. It is strictly a consumable or consumerism-based mentality. So are we going to apply the law of attraction to further our consumer-based mentality? I think not. So for those of you who feel that you've got the law of attraction, you got it, you understand it, I have one question to say to you. Do you understand yourself? And the second question would be, do you understand the planet? Because if you're in denial of your personal actions, if you're in denial of the way of what is really out there, then you're strictly living an illusion, and it's not real. It's not real. Let's get real, people. Let's get real. So let's process this light. Let's process this information. Let's do some research. Let's take the information that's being granted to us. If you truly are a light worker, if you truly understand metaphysics, if you truly understand, if you are an indigo or whatnot, I understand you're going to be very sensitive, and I am too. I'm very, very sensitive to this kind of information, and it does affect me. But we need to learn to process it. We need to process it, even if it means taking a break. Have the courage to look at the information. Have the courage to watch, I don't know, a Chris Everard video. You know, God bless him. He's a very sweet man, but his videos make me angry and depressed. But they're chock full of information. And we need to process that information. We need to understand how our world is acting. So now you've processed the information. You've watched the video. Do your work. And what I mean by doing your work is allowing yourself to go into a meditative state, allow yourself to reground, and allow yourself to allow the information to become a part of the whole of you. And I don't know if that makes any sense, but for me, I do an exercise where I'm basically giving Reiki to myself. I fill my body with light. I put myself in that frame of mind where I'm about to do a healing session on somebody else, but I just allow it to stay within my body and just kind of, I visualize my cells dividing and expanding. I visualize light moving through my veins. I visualize love moving through my heart. I visualize clarity moving through my mind. So I just try to really keep my light body centered and grounded after I watch or I read this disturbing information. So I'm calling you out now. I'm calling you all out on this. If you're a truther and you're angry, you're really perpetuating their agenda. You need to stop. If you're a light worker, law of attraction person, and you're denying the reality of what's going on, you're living a lie. You need to stop. I call you out. I ask you to have the courage to be true to yourself, the courage to be aware of what is truly going on in this world, and to have the understanding to process it and to remain grounded so that you can share and express this clarity and this awareness with the rest of the world. Because we need you. We really need you. I love you very, very much, and I thank you for watching. Bye-bye.